October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and each year, advocates across the country and right here in Florida, they work on ways to end domestic violence by uplifting survivor stories. In Focus's Devin Martin shares more about the ongoing efforts that Family Life Center in Flagler County does to help people who need a helping hand. Watch.
At Family Life Center,
if you feel unsafe, then it's time to seek help.
messages of hope can be seen around every corner.
I would not be alive, and I would not be here if it weren't for you.
Amy Trask and Trish Giacone are both survivors of domestic violence. Trish is the CEO of the Family Life Center. Amy came here to use their services.
I knew that safety was paramount, and I knew that survival meant leaving. When I came here, I had a lot of physical injury and a lot of emotional injury as well, and I didn't know if I was going to be okay.
Amy says she stayed at the shelter for almost a year. One person that helped her through the challenging times was Trish.
I am just honored that we get to do this work. I'm honored that you and so many victims say, invite us in and say it's okay to be here with us.
Crisis Hotline, are you safe to speak? How can I help you?
Brianna Miller is a domestic violence service advocate. A few words can go a long way.
Crisis Helpline, are you safe to speak? That's what we say in the beginning of any call. And that's very important because knowing that they're in a safe place is going to change the trajectory of that call. Hi there, my name's Brianna. How can I help you?
The 24-hour crisis helpline provides immediate crisis intervention services to anyone who calls. Their work has been far-reaching during their last fiscal year.
We have answered 500 crisis helpline calls, and we've served more than 260 participants throughout our whole Family Life Center program. So making sure that they're in a safe place gives us the privilege to be able to have the conversations that are needed to have.
In addition to that service, there's also the emergency shelter.
This is the kitchen that our residents utilize to ensure that they're receiving the nutritional components that they need.
Things like laundry, clothing, TV, and computer access are offered to people who stay.
This area here is our playground area, and it's a location for the moms to have a little bit of respite and for our little ones to enjoy some fun and fresh air.
The big takeaway, Trish says, if you're looking for a safe spot to land, the Family Life Center is only a phone call away.
We're free. Every service we provide is free. And so pick up the phone, speak with an advocate. Let's talk about what is a healthy relationship.
This information shows that not only are you not alone, but there are so many resources out there to help you.
In Flagler County, Devin Martin, Spectrum News.
Devin, thank you so much. And according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been victims to some degree of domestic violence throughout their lifetime. It is an ongoing issue that is mighty important to address. So we have a few ladies here with us today to help us do just that. We have Commissioner Diana Finnegan, District 2 in Citrus County. Commissioner, welcome to In Focus. And we also have Mindy Murphy, the President and CEO of the Spring of Tampa Bay. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And Commissioner, if I may begin with you, when people hear the words domestic violence, our minds usually just snap right there to physical abuse. It's so much more than that. How would you define domestic violence for our friends watching?
Sure. Domestic violence is one person exhibiting power and control over another person. So that absolutely could be physical violence, but it could also be emotional control, emotional violence, minimizing, manipulating, minimizing the abuse, verbal abuse. A lot of times this is done in front of the children. So although domestic violence can become physical, it isn't always. There is a history of power and control before it ever gets to that point.
A history of power and control, yeah. And so Mindy, let's talk about the underreporting of cases. What do you see as the main reason some incidents may not be brought to light?
I think there's a variety of reasons. Sometimes somebody doesn't bring it forward because they may not realize that they're a victim of domestic violence. If they grew up in an environment where maybe this is what they experienced in their own house, they may not understand that what is happening to them is wrong until somebody puts something like the power and control wheel in front of them and says, hey, what's happening isn't right. This is not how somebody in a loving relationship should be treating you. In other instances, maybe they've reported it in the past and it didn't go well for them. So if you've told somebody, if you told a friend or a neighbor or a family member and they minimized it, or they didn't believe you, or they've made excuses for the partner's behavior, you're going to think twice about sharing it again. Or, sometimes law enforcement can be the most amazing experience ever in helping a survivor break free. And sometimes, just like the rest of us, right? Sometimes you get somebody who maybe is having a bad day and who doesn't give you the help you need. And so again, you're going to think twice about reaching out for help, which is why it's so important for stories.
And getting that courage, I know. Yeah. Mindy, I know shelter is probably one of the biggest needs when someone reaches out for help. They want to get the heck out of there. So how difficult has it been to keep up with demand, perhaps?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen a rise across the state and across the country in the need for domestic violence services. And it could be that more people are starting to report. I think there was a lot of empowerment that occurred in the pandemic where people, after the post-pandemic said, I am going to my life is going to be mine moving forward, and I'm not going to put up with things. So it could be a combination of more reporting, or it could be an increase in the use of violence. But we are a 128-bed shelter at the Spring at Tampa Bay, and we've been hovering in the low 150s for most of the last 6 months. Wow. Our neighboring centers all are full, right? And so it's really hard to provide those services. But if you are in crisis and you're in need, we're going to figure out a way to bring you in and get you the help you need.
Yeah. And Commissioner, what are then some things the community, even elected officials like yourself, can do to help in that area specifically? What are those conversations you're having?
Yeah, in the community, we need to support our local domestic violence center. And I've always said, if you see something, say something. Domestic violence survivors are often afraid, just as Mindy had said, that people will not believe their story. There's a trusted, maybe a pastor or a neighbor or a law enforcement officer. And to understand that survivors of domestic violence maybe just won't leave one time. A lot of domestic violence survivors are afraid of leaving as much as they are afraid of living in the home, because it's a scary world out there. They don't know if they can make it. And many times an abuser has told them, you can't make this on your own. You can't support your children on your own. You can't get a job. No one's going to hire you. So they have all of these built-in fears. So if we can build a community and a support system around these people and help them in their journey. And we need to understand, if whatever happens in the world or they do return to that situation, it's maybe not because they want to, but because they feel that they have to, and support them in leaving again. I'm not sure what the most recent statistics are, but I used to tell people when I was doing the work, women will leave their abusive partner 7 to 9 times before they either leave for good or die at the abuser's hands. So it's very important that our community wraps support around a domestic violence survivor, especially when that person is ready to leave.
And to extend that, Commissioner, the issue of affordable housing is one that impacts us all, but especially for survivors of domestic violence. So I want to know what kind of legislation is in place or maybe being worked on to help in that area, especially on the county level. Is that even a county level responsibility for legislation?
Well, that's usually a state legislative issue, and I know our state legislators have been working on affordable housing. Locally, I just recently had a meeting with the Habitat for Humanity. They are a fantastic partner here in the community, and we were talking about things that I could do as a county commissioner to help support what they're doing. They are focusing on people that actually live in Citrus County and can move them into housing, and that, of course, includes our victims of domestic violence here that have moved on and are trying to get away.
Commissioner, you look up any statistic and you'll find that women are primarily involved, in most domestic violence cases. However, men, they can be victims, survivors too, rather. So, here's the problem. Most researchers agree that men avoid seeking assistance because the fear people, either one, they won't believe them, or two, may accuse them of not being masculine. How do you change this mindset? To you first, Commissioner.
Yes. Yeah. We have to make sure that men know that they also can be victim of power and control. Many times in the past, when I was at CASA and I did work with male victims of domestic violence, they said, well, I can't be a victim. Look at her, look at me. They might have even had physical violence, been slapped or hit. But like you said, they feel like they should be able to take that that's not really an issue for them. So as a community, again, we need to assure that all victims of domestic violence are protected. An excellent way to do this is support our domestic violence centers in our school systems and teach kids what healthy relationships look like. Here in Citrus County, I started those programs in our local schools, and they're being carried on today. And I'm sure throughout the state, many domestic violence centers have similar programs. We have to teach our young people what healthy communication looks like, what healthy relationships look like. If we don't teach our kids how to treat one another when they're older and in intimate relationships, domestic violence can come out. They become more of a selfish mindset, and they want the control and the power in the relationship, and we have to teach them how to work together.
Yeah, Mindy, jump in here then. Your boots on the ground. You have stories. You see this. Chime in if you will.
Yeah, so one of the things we've done at the spring is, we've had an on-site K-5 elementary school for our kiddos to go to, where all the kids who are in that school have experienced domestic violence. So they're not alone. They get to know that, this isn't their fault. And we can start doing work with them at a very young age to help them understand that the abuse is not something they caused, and how they keep themselves safe in their relationship. And progressing as kids get older, we actually have a sleepaway camp. We're part of an evidence-based camping and mentoring program called Camp Hope America. So we actually do a week-long sleepaway camp with older kids, and then we have year-round pathways mentoring programs, again, to help do kind of that secondary intervention with kids who've experienced it to help prevent them from being the next generation. But the work in the schools, we have an innovative partnership with another nonprofit called Future Career Academy here in Hillsborough County, and they are in all 37 high schools. And it's a workforce development program because about 70% of our kids in Hillsborough are actually going straight into the workforce. And as the commissioner said, having an ability to have healthy relationships serves you well in your interpersonal relationships, but also serves you well in the workplace. And so we're really delighted to be embedded in workforce development curriculum because kids who can do well in life are going to do well because they have a good job that they can maintain and that they can grow in.
And Mindy, the survivors, whomever they are, they may have children with them when seeking shelter or support. So what do you do in those cases? We're talking childcare, education, possibly counseling.
Right. Yeah, so I am sitting in our infant classroom. We don't have any. We do have infants in shelter right now, but we don't have any in the classroom today. But we have an infant classroom that we run. We have a toddler classroom that we run. So we have programs for those little kids because half the people in our 128 bed shelter that's filled with about 151 people right now, about half of those are kids. So it's having programs for the kids again to keep them occupied, to remind them that they are kids and that they should be enjoying life and that they should be having fun. But then also help them with, we have 4 licensed therapists on staff. So we have a therapy services division that helps the kids and the adults, talk through the trauma and hopefully move beyond trauma, because what we want people to know is that this is something that happened to you, but it's not who you are. It doesn't define who you are for the rest of your life. You can go on and do really amazing and great things.
And to unpack therapy even more, Commissioner, mental health is always an important and sometimes sensitive topic. What kind of services are in place or do you feel need to be in place to ensure domestic violence survivors are getting the support they need, including for their kiddos who are surrounded by all this?
Sure. Locally, our local domestic violence center, I feel like for domestic violence advocacy and counseling, that is the first place to go. Domestic violence counseling looks different than mental health counseling. That being said, those with mental health issues, we have partnered with LifeStream Behavioral Services, and the Board of County Commissioners recently donated $1 million to that project to bring those services into Citrus County. Currently, our people were having to go to Lake County. So a new facility is being built, and we look forward to having our people be able to come here if they need a Baker Act facility. If not, we have some excellent counselors for them to speak with.
And Commissioner, regardless of race and ethnicity, domestic violence, it occurs when there's an imbalance of power in the relationship. However, studies, they have revealed that the number of women of color impacted by domestic violence, that's shockingly high when compared to other races. I mean, are you surprised at all by this? And what do you see as solutions to this, to changing this trend?
I think to change the trend, if the statistics have identified a certain population, then support the local domestic violence center in getting out to that population with education. If there needs to be special support groups, or if even at a county level, if we need to reach into those populations and say, what can I do to help as a commissioner? I'd be willing to do that. A lot of people still, after I have left and as a commissioner, when they haven't known where to go, I've received phone calls and emails to help with domestic violence issues. So I can help with some on a personal level, safety planning still, but I always refer them to our local domestic violence center.
And Mindy, why do you do what you do? Why dedicate your life to this?
Yeah, my background was child welfare, and I was recruited over into this role at the spring. And at first I was a little terrified because I wasn't an expert on domestic violence. But what I quickly realized is it's become my life's work, because when we can keep mom safe, or in some instances, dad, we can keep the kids safe. And so the way that we create a society that is peaceful and the society that we want to have long into the future is by raising little kids in households where they feel safe, where they feel loved, where the adults in the household model loving relationships, and then those get carried on into future generations. And so that's really why I do what I do, because it's more powerful to help an entire family, because by helping the entire family, you help the children, and you help our future.
Yeah, very, very admirable indeed. And Mindy, as we shift now to community responses, tell us, what do you need from the community to keep doing the work that you're doing, and having, an elected official here with us too?
Sure. There are 41 certified domestic violence centers in the state of Florida. So I'm one of 41. And what I would say we all need is we all need financial support, right? Mission is delivered through money and through people. And we want to pay our people livable working wages to be able to help survivors who come to us. So money, stuff, we serve several thousand survivors annually in Hillsborough, about 3,000 or 4,000 survivors with in-person services. And a lot of what we're helping them do is, move into a safe new house that's free of the abuse. And they need dressers, and they need cribs, and they need beds, and they need pots and pans. So if you don't have money to give, but you've got some stuff to give that to your local domestic violence center. We need people to advocate for us. We need people to believe survivors, right? So we will improve our society if we can raise a society that believes people when they disclose what's going on. Start with believing them. That's really important.
Mindy Murphy and Commissioner Diana Finnegan, ladies, thank you so much for your insight today. We really, really appreciate your company.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. To keep up with important issues impacting our communities and hear more conversations with the people who are shaping the future, subscribe to our channel. You can also download our app or find Spectrum News on your TV for balanced, in-depth political coverage and more.